additional weeks of productivity this year. So thank you to Stephanie for kicking all this off. So we're here to talk about productivity. We're here to save you time. In fact, I think it's going to be somewhere between an hour and 15 minutes to an hour and 30 minutes that if you take these tips and time-saving processes to heart, then you're going to be able to save that time. So the half an hour, 40 minutes you spend in this presentation today, you're going to get back tomorrow. So let's move on. So poll, and I just want to get a quick idea of how often is your email program checking for messaging, because this is a big productivity killer. So I'm going to go ahead and launch the poll. And why do we do polls? Because it shows you how you're doing next to your peer. Well, what are other people saying? So just lean in, click on one of the options, and you'll get a general idea of, because I'll share the results. You know, polls are cool because if I'm teaching something later on and you don't believe it, then that's hard. But if the polls and your peers are saying something, let's go ahead and stop it and share the results. So 83% of the people on the call right now. And Steph, this is definitely a screen capture and a tweet because 83% of you checking email constantly. And it's been shown that the concept, the myth of multitasking is a myth. There's no such thing. Your brain works on one thing. You give somebody more than 7 digits and they forget the 8th and 9th and 10th digit, unless it's in the form of a phone number that they recognize the area code. Proven studies. So if you're constantly letting email ding you and you're stopping what you're doing, you're writing a presentation, email comes in, you're off track. You're closing a sales deal, another email comes in, you're off track. So email and defaults is one of the biggest problems that we see in terms of productivity. So what are we talking about there? We're talking about technology dogma. We do it because we always did it. We do it because someone else's thinking said, this is what the default should be in Outlook or Gmail. Gmail's worse because I don't even know you can set it. But in Outlook, the default was something like 5 minutes or 10 minutes. I got a hold a couple years ago of one of the original developers, and I'm like, why did you do that? And he's like, oh, it seemed like a good thing to do. When was that initially done? You know, the initial Outlook. Well, 15 years ago. Well, 15 years ago it was a different world. We didn't get so many emails. So beware. Don't be trapped by dogma, especially technology dogma, right? Because it's the result of other people's thinking. So beware of your email defaults. What I do, I set it to once an hour. And it works in with my other productivity saving tips I'm going to give you. Why do I check once an hour? You'll see. But once an hour. Another poll. And this ties into the first thing. What a time allotment do you use for scheduled meetings? And I've seen two possibilities out there. You use the defaults, or you say, instead of 30-minute meetings and 60-minute meetings, I'm going to do 25-minute meetings and 50-minute meetings. Which do you do? Please lean in. Choose an option. All right, let's go ahead and close the poll, share the results. So 86% of you, 86% of you use the defaults in your meeting program. Do you see a trend here? That some engineer somewhere made decisions that's affecting your life. You're not taking control. So if you do two things, number one, try setting your email to once an hour. Number two, set your meetings to 25 and 50-minute default. By the way, Gmail, the calendar, allows you to do this. So my meetings are 25 and 50. So what happens at the end of an hour meeting? I've got 10 minutes. And I didn't get interrupted, and I had 50 minutes of focus or 25 minutes of focus. And I can always go and click check email. So two things that will organize your day. And the farther you go along, yes, I have less time now that I'm a CEO than I had when I was building a product or being a recruiter. So these things will make more and more impact as you move along in your career. All right, let's move on. Beware of defaults. Scheduling. Do 25 and 50-minute meetings. Setting agendas. Reminding people halfway through. We're halfway through the time we have here today. Email. Set your programs to 1 to 2 every 2 hours instead of every 5 to 10 minutes. It'll save you 5 minutes an hour. Browser. Here's a little one. You can put, if you have, let's say you're a recruiter, as an example, and you open up Monster and LinkedIn and Career Builder and Facebook and Twitter every day. If you do that manually, that's a lot of time. You should put all those into one folder, and then you can launch the entire folder at one time. I see maybe 5% of people doing this, and it's built into your browser. If you log into the same thing every day, and you open up the same things, unless you leave your computer open and the tabs open, then huge productivity loss by not doing that. Okay, next thing, we're going to look at something called an organizational task analysis. Big, long phrase, simple concept. What does it do? Helps to improve efficiency, optimize, plan for new hires. Here's the idea. Very simple concept. If you use a Google Doc or Excel spreadsheet, you can do this. You take a list of every task you do at your company, everything. And by the way, this is recorded. We'll have this presentation for later. The slides will also be available all through Stephanie and the Exego group. So you basically take a list of all the things you do across the organization, and it looks something like this. So every 5 minutes, 7 o'clock, check email and voicemail, 7:15, create priorities, 7:45, staff review. You put down everything you do. You have everybody in your organization do this process. Not just you, but everybody. And then you end up with a unique list of everything that's done in your organization. So where am I going with this? It's about talent management and making sure the right people are doing the right things. So you give everything a uniqueness score. And a uniqueness score, for example, at a regular company that's not a technology company, CRM administration, that's very rare. At some place like Exego Group, where they've got a good number of people that are all talented, CRM administration is a common trait. So uniqueness to your organization, not uniqueness to the market. And then you give it importance rating. Once you do that, you graph it on an importance and uniqueness graph. Now, if things end up in the team quadrant, that's good. These are the areas that every team member should have. So in recruiting, it's interview prep, writing job posts. I'm using recruiting as an example, but you can do across any, selling skills, objection response skills. Top quadrant is a consultant quadrant. So it's important, but extremely unique. You may want to outsource that. The bottom lower quadrant, the bottom left quadrant, is the admin quadrant. If you've got team members that are doing tasks or down there, this is probably the most important factor. It tells you that you need to get an admin, that you need to outsource, that you need to get the money-making things in the hands of the moneymakers, which brings us to the top quadrant, the money quadrant. This is negotiating contract, closing call. These are the things that are most valuable. And if somebody that should be living in the money quadrant is doing admin tasks, something is wrong and you're losing money. So this is about breaking the task up in the team. And there's one more quadrant. It's automation quadrant, the lower part of the research of the admin quadrant. And that's a lot of what we'll be talking about with our product today, is things that people are doing manually should be automated. We've got a nice spreadsheet here for you to graph your own stuff later. And there's even a takeaway. So if you go to this link, bit.ly/task-analysis, you've got our sample spreadsheets there to play with. Now, that is case sensitive. So you have to type it in exactly as you see it there, and you can do this yourself. So simple concept. I'm doing a keynote presentation at the National Background Screening Conference this year, and I'm doing an hour just on what I just talked about in terms of that task analysis and how to use that to figure out what your team is doing and how to get them more efficient. So another poll. Do you do that thing that we talked about? Do you open up all your daily browser tabs with one click? And it's important to see this, because if 80% of people are not doing these things, that tells us the entire group today, there's huge improvements. If you just do these things, I've already given you back the time you spent on this webinar today. All right, let's close it out and share the results. All right, very good, people. You are using this. And I think the people that are that are working with Zoho, that are working with newer technologies, they tend to be on the forefront. So you're using the technology shortcuts, that's fabulous. Some of the process shortcuts and some of the things that you're not thinking about are probably the areas we need to focus on. But well done. All right. Here's one. Get the mobile number. If every sales rep got every mobile number of every person they talk to, we'd have a much more efficient sales world. Think about it. Why do you always want to get the mobile number? In reviewing CRMs, and I review a lot of CRM data, 90% of the mobile number is not filled. It's not enforced by training, not enforced by the CRM. So what I mean by enforced by the CRM, you're going to make it do it as a required field? No. But if it's so important, which it is, and I'll get into the why, then maybe the mobile phone number should be right next to the name. Name, then mobile number, then title. That is my importance of operations. In fact, I'd switch that around. Name, mobile number, LinkedIn URL profile, because they may change jobs, and you still have their mobile number, you still have their LinkedIn profile URL to follow it and find out where they went. And then things like email and regular phone number. Mobile phones responded to 6 times more often than an office line. For recruiters, candidates don't trust leaving messages on corporate phone numbers. Mobile is a gateway to text messages, group messages, social networks, messaging app, location check-in, trade shows, and affinity network. I have a slide on affinity network. Some people don't understand what I mean by this, but here's an affinity network. Map my ride. So last year, I ran 1,000 miles. I biked 1,000 miles. That would be some feat. And what I saw is that, hey, I did 1,000 miles, but as I saw, wow, one of my friends is on there. He rode 20 miles, so next time I reach out to him, if he's in the sales area, and then Greg, he's in Central Park. So again, these affinity networks are a fabulous way, and we're going to show you how to get this data. That's what's really cool. How do you get that data? So how do you ask for the mobile number? A couple of scripts for you. I like to text you a link with and my number, what's your mobile phone number. Recruiters, so I can follow up, maintain confidentiality. What's your mobile number? Option C, what's your mobile number? I'll send you my V card so we have my contact information, right? Learn a script to ask for the mobile number always, 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 always. And if you don't like what I wrote, build your own script. Another tip, really understanding your email program. Folders, filters, multiple accounts. Here's an example. One example I'll dive into. You can use your Gmail with an alias. So, for example, these 3 emails go to the same email, but they look differently to different systems. So I can automatically screen something, anything that comes through Facebook. Even if somebody got my email through Facebook, but they're not emailing me from Facebook, if they've got my DD plus Facebook at Ringlead, then I know, and I can automatically filter it. So literally, depending on where the origin that they got your email from, where you signed up, you can basically cross-section things and filter things and direct things, add-on apps, etc. So 1 hour of rolling your sleeves up and learning to be efficient with your email will save you 30 minutes a day. So take the time. Go and find a doc about Outlook, a video about Outlook, a video about Gmail. Learn how to use it, and you'll be blown away how much time you save. So really learning your email system. Most people don't know their systems very well. So here's a question. How good are you at finding files in your system? How good at finding files in your system, especially companies that have been around for a year. You get HR documents and spreadsheets and PowerPoints and everything under the sun. How quickly? Can you find anything immediately? Where are you on the continuum? And we're a couple minutes away of showing the hottest new product out there in Capture. All right. Now look at that. That's that's split up pretty well. So we've got people spread across the entire continuum results. Cool. So some tips for file naming conventions. just pick some way, something that's standardized. Pick a file naming scheme, train your staff, keep your discipline. Some tips, here's what we do. I always put the name of the agreement up front, NDA, and then broad look at the end. You don't want to have 50 agreements that are different that all start with broad look. So just some tips. If you do this, it's easy to find stuff later on. And going back and renaming all your documents, you'll save your people 10 minutes a day each. Okay, last poll, and then we're off to show some cool technology. When you find a new tip, do you stick with it? When you find a new tip, do you stick with it? I'm watching the results as they come in, and let's see here. All right, let's share the results here. I do for a while, and then somehow I get distracted, I think. Some people keep a list, and yeah, that's good. That's good. Write these things down. Sticky pad on your monitor, whatever it may be. All right. So some things I do, I have a list of my always and nevers, and what this does is this helps me make sure that I have some guiding principles. Always make a plan, never accept a bad client. So just having your philosophy down. I think this could be listed under having your philosophy down to make sure that you are always driving by your always and nevers. And then last tip, using the right communication method for the right problem. So people who CC everybody in email, I could reach through the phone and strangle them if I possibly could, because it just creates more work for people, right? When do you use a instant message versus when you use an email? It doesn't matter what I have here. What matters is that you should write down what your beliefs are of how you should use these things, stick to it, and train your team to also stick to it. Things like tweets, okay, it may be interesting, but it's more fun than productive. So the time-saving summary today, if you move to 25 and 50-minute meetings, you're going to save 30 to 50 minutes a day. Building your task analysis and having better organizational efficiency, 10 minutes. Email habit efficiency, 10 minutes. Email tech, meaning how to use folders and filters and things like that, another 10 minutes. Always having the mobile number versus trying to find somebody's information and calling and ask for them because you can't get a hold of them. Or you're getting a corporate line that they don't answer as quickly. Communication rules, file naming, browser automation, all that gives you somewhere between an hour and 27 to an hour and 47 minutes per day of savings. So at the minimal, if you apply all these things for the, let's see how far we're in, for the 25 minutes or so we're in here, I just tripled your time savings of what you just spent learning about this. So let's dive into a cool technology, because this is going to give you an extra half an hour a day for anybody that's working, actually probably more than a half an hour. Anybody working with Zoho, anybody in sales or marketing or data list generation. So Capture is a Chrome extension, and it captures, it researches, and it enhances contact information. It's going to fill in missing phone numbers. It merges data. It does some really cool thing. It captures data from anywhere. Structured sites, unstructured sites, email signatures, etc. Let's go ahead and pause the presentation and actually show it in action. And let me just verify, Stephanie, can you see my screen with Capture on it?
I can.
Are you muted? Okay. All right, so let's show Capture. So Capture is a Chrome extension, and I have it sitting up on my toolbar here. So let's go ahead and try an experiment here. I'm going to highlight my email signature, and you can all see this page. And by the way, there is a free trial of Capture that we're going to point you to at the end of the presentation today. So this is a sample page that has email signature, an example text message, some tabular type spreadsheet data, and open data here. So let's go up to Capture, and let's press the big Capture button. Now, that was live. That went out to our servers, took the information, parsed it, brought it back, and now it's live. Now, what do I want to know? Do I want to send this information to Zoho? Possibly, but let's first go down here and check for duplicates. All right. So it looks like we didn't find any duplicates. So then we can export the data. So by using a tool like this, I can now send an export, and let's actually do this. So let's go ahead and export into a lead, and it's saved. And now it's going to redirect directly into, and there we go. So that's how simple it is to get data from the web into Zoho without any cutting and pasting, opening new records, searching for a duplicate, etc. All that stuff happens automatically. So let's try something here. Let's go in, and I'm going to edit some information. I'm going to edit the title and make it something different. I'll make it sales guy, and save. And I'll change the phone number. I'll remove the area code and save. I'm not an expert at Zoho. That's why it's great to have Stephanie here. And refresh just to make sure I've got it all in there and I did it right. Okay, I did it right. I'm succeeding with Zoho. Now, let's go back in here into Capture and do a refresh on the contact data. There it is. So there's the lead that I just added into Zoho. But let's take it a step further. Let's click on this button, and this is going to allow me to merge. So remember what I just did? I took the title and changed it from Chief Executive Officer to Sales Guy. I took the phone number and took it off, took the area code off. So this not only allows you to export data, but it allows you to find existing duplicates that are in the system and merge it. So now I can pick individual pieces from individual parts of either the Zoho record or the captured record, and I can merge them into one. So that's some of the initial data quality features that are built in. Let's look at some more advanced features. So next, we've got 3 people here, an HR director, a director of human resources, and human resources director in all caps. Capture is not limited to one contact. I could capture all 50 people on this page, one shot. I'm just going to do 3 here. So highlight, go up to capture. I'll delete myself out of there, press the capture button, and it's going to ask if they're from the same company. I'd say no. Merge. If there's duplicates, yes. Now, notice the titles of the captured information versus the non-captured information. Director Human Resources, Director Human Resources. So what we see here is that this information is standardized. So Capture has a built-in data standards engine that you can configure. If you like long titles, Director of Human Resources. If you like short titles, HR Director. You have total control over it. Capture has the ability to capture single contacts, multiple contacts. It can also capture entire spreadsheets of contacts. Now, we haven't gotten into the really cool feature. Here we go. So now, let's go ahead and delete my existing contacts. X and X. Okay, so now we had a page where there is no contact data here. It's just the listings. And inside the descriptions is some more information about the people. So in order to capture this page, we have to not only parse it, but data mine it. So watch this. This is cool. Press the capture button. It's going to go and ask me, are these people all from the same company? Yes. Merge duplicates? Yes, that's important because these people are mentioned here as well in the bio. Click on OK. OK, here is the drum roll. Here is the money button. I've got no contact data in this person. And by the way, it was smart enough to fill it in from certain and certain.com. I press the research button. Here we go. This is now doing a real-time web crawl, looking through the internet on our servers, hitting the website, looking at social networks, looking across, and what it's doing is it's basically going out and trying to find what it can on the open internet, and there you go. I've got an email and a phone number filled in. If I want to Google that phone number, you'll find out that it came from the contact page on certain.com. The phone number was buried in a news article. So this is not a database. This is the world's only real-time crawling engine that goes right from the browser, hits our servers, does its work, brings the information back, and of course now I can see he's already in my database, and I can export him into a Zoho leader contact and merge him with the existing data. And of course, we also found the LinkedIn profile as well. So you're all muted. I know there's silent applause going on right now. Everybody wants to get it, but we're not done. the tool can do a lot more. Let's take a look at some more things that it can do. First thing I'm going to do, delete all my contacts here. And now we're going to go to a structured site. A lot of people use LinkedIn or GitHub or Data.com or any of these structured data sites. Now, Capture doesn't do this out of the box. We've built a system where anybody can build what's called a pattern to capture any site. It's like open source. So somebody can say, oh, I've got some site you never heard of. I'm going to teach Capture how to do it. Once it's in there, it'll work. And it'll put a button right in the page. So in this case, we've got Ross, who's on the phone with us. I'm going to click on that. That captured him. And of course, now I've got the data directly from LinkedIn, but I don't have his contact data. I have his personal email. Let's go ahead and press research. So again, this is starting a real-time web crawl, going out to the live internet, not a database, trying to see what it can find, and that information was pulled real-time. Same concept as always. I can search for a duplicate. In this case, Ross is already a contact because probably Stephanie has him in the Zoho record. We found his Facebook. We found his LinkedIn. It also found my associated LinkedIn profile. Why is that important? Well, I'm the CEO of Brawler Technologies, so it associated everything it could find that is a center point around this company. Great talking points. It found our toll-free number and it found our regular number. So, Stephanie, anything else that I forgot to show about Capture? I know you love the tool that I didn't show.
I'm always blown away when you do these presentations. I'd welcome any questions from the audience. And
I got a question. Does it work with LinkedIn Recruiter? It works with Sales Navigator, LinkedIn Recruiter, etc. It really only depends if somebody before built a pattern. Yes, we've got clients that use it with LinkedIn Recruiter, and we've got a free trial of Capture that is available. Speaking of that, let me throw up the last slide here so people know where to go. So to get your free trial of Capture for Zoho CRM, brawlbook.com/capture-Zoho. If anybody wants to connect with me on LinkedIn or follow me on Twitter for webinars and whatnot, feel free to. And we've got a special going this month that Capture works off of research tokens. So anybody that ends up coming on board with us this month, we're going to give them 500 additional research tokens to go with whatever package they go with. So big value, big value. Another question was, does it work with only English websites? No, it'll work with anything that is structured. For example, LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter. By the way, we could start with just a Twitter ID and find if there's a company name or URL in there. We could find contact information from just basic information on Twitter as well. Not always, probably around 40–50% of the time. But yes, structured sites, it'll work with any language. Unstructured sites, it'll work with the basic Romance languages: French, English, Spanish, Italian, Portuguese. So very flexible there. Another question. I have recruiting software. Is there a way to integrate it? We've got current integrations with multiple systems. The Zoho Recruiter, I think we have to do some additional tweaking in order to get it to go into the Zoho Recruiter. But yes, if that's what you want, you raise your hand, you ring that bell for us. We'll definitely make it happen. But we're integrated with multiple CRMs at this point. Today we're focusing on Zoho. All right. Cost starts at $1,500 for a single user, and the 5-pack is in the 5K range. So get a demo. See, the ROI is really where it's all on. What can this save you? Can this save you 2 hours a day of clicking and browsing, getting only a LinkedIn name and title and waiting for 3 days for a LinkedIn email versus getting the person's phone number and email and contacting them directly?
well, I also, Donato, to add to that, I'd be curious to weigh in on those out there that are purchasing massive lead gen lists and the cost versus being able to go out and be very specific like this and enabling your salespeople. Back in my day, working at, at some of the larger organizations like Dell and Trend Micro, being able to get this kind of research and data to go and find that decision maker at a large enterprise organization would have been a golden nugget for me.
Absolutely. We had another question come in, and just success factors question mark from John. So success factors in using Capture. So number one, and I'm glad that you asked this, John, because I just did an internal training about what are the success factors. Who do we want to sell to? I want to sell to somebody that, number one, is already using the internet, but they're doing it manually. They know the value of going out and trying to, hey, I'm gonna go out and use a Reportive to find an email. I'm going to try 8 different emails. All the things that you do manually. If you're doing that manually, and then you have an understanding of the value that's being done for you. Number two, that you recognize that there's many different sources of information on the internet. There's LinkedIn, there's executive management pages, and I didn't show half the information, half the things that Capture can do. If you go to, and I'll open it up here as a example here. If I go to our Capture page, Capture-Zoho, and from the Capture Zoho, we go to what's called the demo wall. So it'll show you that Capture works on management pages and spreadsheets. It can do list management. It can help you actually find those pages on the internet that have people on it, LinkedIn, Twitter, ZoomInfo. So these are all additional sources that our clients/community added. It can capture from Dice, Career Builder, Monster, so it can capture resume data as well as just the contact data. So very powerful. So definitely once you hit the Zoho place, definitely check out the demo wall. But if you want to sign up, you just go to free trial right here and go ahead and do the sign up. So let's see here if any more questions. Can I run Capture without Zoho? Yes. You can use Capture and dump lists of contacts into a common delimited file. So very flexible. It supports most major CRMs. Zoho is obviously one of the ones that is now becoming a major player in the CRM space. All right, I think that's it for the questions. So I want to thank Steph and Exego Group for organizing this. Again, get your free trial, brawlbook.com/capture-zoho. Steph, any closing thoughts?
I just want to thank you, Donato, for doing another splendid job, and thank our audience for attending.
Very good. Thank you all, and I want to hear your stories. There's my email. As you get on board using Capture, love to hear your success stories. Thank you much.
Thank you.